In this video, we're going to make some golden summer jewelry. What is that? Well, we're going to work with a lot of gold beads, gold tone beads, and they're going to be floating. Yes, we're going to float our beads.
Golden summer jewelry, sunshine shimmery and bright. Mix your golden beads and dangles to your heart's delight. Smooth or textured, vintage or new.
If you're new to the channel, I'm Vickie. If you've been following me for a long time, thank you so much for that. As I said, we're going to make some golden summer jewelry, and to make it, we're going to use some wire and some gold beads, gold tone beads, and let them float. Yes, float on the wire.
Textured, vintage or new, any gold tone bead will do. Open up your treasure stash, find the sparkle in a flash. Every little bead you choose adds a golden point of view. Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright.
As you can see here, I have my pot of gold, assorted gold findings from other upcycles. I'm also using 1.3 millimeter crimp beads, not tubes. I have a lobster clasp and a jump ring and a couple of clam shells. I'm also using bead stringing wire. This is 49 strand in a gold tone. Yes, you see me use silver a lot, but this is gold. And a few tools. I have scissors, my round nose pliers in case I need my cutters or we make some earrings, and my flat nose pliers. And if I need them, I have my chain nose pliers. Not a lot of tools, but a lot of gold beads. Gold or gold tone. So that's what I have to work with, and I encourage you to get into your bead stash and your thrifted jewelry and take it apart, because that's what I have. I have an accumulation of beads and findings from jewelry that I've taken apart over the last few years. So some beads and some wire, a few tools, and we're good to go. I'm going to make an 18-inch necklace with an extension chain. So 12 plus 6 is 18. I'm going to add 4 more, so that would be 22 inches of wire. I think I forgot to mention that we're making 2 necklaces in this video and 2 pairs of earrings. The first necklace will be a 2-strand necklace, but yes, we're going to make 2 necklaces and 2 pairs of earrings in this video, so we better get started. This is the first strand, 22 inches, and I want to make a second strand, 2-strand necklace. So if that's 22, let's just cut the next piece of wire at 20. So 12 and 8 would be 20. A little takeaway so far on the wire. I wish I had just gone ahead and cut both strands at 22 inches, because a little bit later in making this necklace, you'll see that I could have used a little more wire to work with. So let's update this right here to cutting 2 pieces of 22-inch wire. When it comes to how they lay, we can always adjust it. But 2 strands at 22 inches would have been helpful. Let's bring the 2 strands together, and I'm going to pick a bead out of here, and I think I'm going to start with this really cool metallic textured bead. I'm going to put both strands of wire through here. You could even do 3 strands if you want, 3, possibly even 4. But I do want to get both strands of wire through here. Maybe I'll do one at a time. One at a time. You wouldn't think it'd be so hard to get this through here. There, got that one through. Now let's put the other one through. Got it. So I've lost track now, which is my shorter strand versus my longer strand. So I'm going to bring these ends together and find out. This is my shorter strand. I'm going to bring those together and clip it. Let's even up the longer strand. And we're going to start with these little crimp beads, 1.3 millimeter, and thread one of these on each strand, on each side of the larger bead. Bring your ends together. Let's just keep this centered up by putting a clip. And these are gator clips, and I'll have a link for these in my affiliate store, Amazon affiliate store. I just don't want that to move around. So I have a 1.3 millimeter crimp bead on each wire. Probably a little hard to see. And then I'm just going to randomly pick out another bead, something that I'd like to work with here. And some of these I could take off the chain. I could take this off the chain and use those. Those are pretty cool. In fact, I might just do that. I might just take a couple of these off of here.
Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright. Wear your handmade dreams tonight. Find the gold hidden in your stash. Wearing gold is like wearing cash. Every shimmer, every gleam turns your jewelry into a dream. Shiny and bright, golden glimmer dancing in the light.
I freed up 2 of these, but I'm only using 1 so far because if I were to be symmetrical with this, I would have to work harder at having these exactly the same distance from the center bead. And that's a little more challenging. So I'm just going to make this a little more random. I have my little crimp bead. I have a gold tone metallic bead that's smooth. I'm getting a hold of my crimp bead, which I can slide on here, so I can position this almost anywhere. But I'm just going to go a short distance here. And I'm trying to center up the crimp bead on the wire, and then I flatten it. And so this bead now is going to float, meaning it's not going to drop down up against the focal point bead. And the same thing over here. I have a crimp bead, and I can put this bead just about anywhere on here, flatten it, and let the bead drop down. So now that I have that started, I can take these clips off and let these beads just drop where they may. This is going to float a little bit here, but the weight of it's going to keep it centered. When you wear the necklace, that will keep it centered. I'm going to show you this the other way. I'm going to bring this towards me and show this to you this way. See how that's floating here? This larger bead is floating, but these can only drop down so far. So that's what we're going to randomly do. We're going to randomly place beads along this wire with a little crimp bead as the support. And we're doing the longest piece of wire first, and then we'll work the second one. So the first thing we do is pick up a crimp bead, 1.3 millimeter. I'm going to let that drop down so far. I don't want that going inside that bead, so I'm just going to put my clip here and then pick up another random bead or crystal or pearl, pretty much whatever we want to use. I have some beads here that would dangle. That's a possibility too. This one has a lot of texture and it's a little larger, so just to make it a little bit different from the other beads, I'm going to go with this. Again, I'm just randomly going to place this. Let that drop down. You can see that little crimp bead is a little bead stopper. Let's add one over here, starting with a crimp bead. Oop, where'd it go? And let's see, what can we put over here? Maybe one of these textured beads. Let it drop down. We're going to reserve about 4 inches at the top for around the neck. So it's really not going to take very many beads. And remember, we still have the inner strand that we can do. Pick up a crimp bead. And let's see, I'm looking here. I think I want to add some different texture, and this is pretty cool, but it has a jump ring on it, so I'm just going to take it apart. Again, these were just pieces and parts from other upcycles. Just finding the cut in the jump ring. And then I'm just taking this head pin out of here. Just cutting it to free up the bead. Going for different shapes, textures. You can even use a variety of colors if you like. I'm just working with the gold because I wanted this to be golden summer. All right, I'm just going to put this one a little higher, maybe. I don't really want them all spaced exact same distance. And I did want to put one of these on the other side, so let's do that. Add the crimp bead. This is just a faceted vintage plastic bead, very lightweight. Okay, that's going to drop down there. The more random you make it, the easier it's going to be. I think measuring everything exactly would be very challenging. We could throw a pearl in here. We could. That would be pretty. I also have this bead. It's a different shape. Just going to take the head pin out of it. That little crimp bead is the bead stopper. You could put one above the bead too, but it's really not necessary. Mainly because when you're wearing the necklace, everything's just going to drop down. Remember, we're going to have another strand that's going to have beads on here as well. Figure out what we want to do here. This is a really nice textured bead, filigree. I always love these filigree beads. Let's pick up another crimp bead, add the filigree bead, make sure the wire's through the right hole, because it's easy when it's open cut like this to get it through the wrong one, like I'm doing right now. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Everywhere except where I want it. Maybe if I get a hold of it with my flat nose pliers, I can get a straighter shot through here. Got it. Just going to grab that crimp bead. Oh, it went in that side, that bead. Got it. Let's get another crimp bead. Let's see here. Let me get one of these small round ones, really shiny. It's probably about an 8mm. Okay, I just brought the ends of my wire together, and I should have done that a little bit sooner. You can see here that this is my center, so I need to stop here. I should have had my ends together to begin with probably, but I know now that I need to add some more to this side only. I'm going to stop here for now. So crimp bead, and boy, I'm tempted to add a pearl, but instead I'll add this metallic bead. I do think pearls would be really pretty in this. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads here, and 2, 3, 4, 5 beads there now. But when I even up my wire and drop everything down, visually, again, they're random. Let's even this up again. Let the beads drop down. I guess we could have put that second wire in a little bit later. I want one more bead that drops down to about here. Let's use our crimp bead. And let's find another bead in here. Have one. I do want the top bead to be pretty much the same as far as the height, so I'm going to crimp this right about here. Hope I don't move it too much. I'm not crimping, I'm flattening. So this is what we have so far. If we push all the beads down, it's a little hard to show you since I'm working on a flat surface, but if we push all the beads down, that's what we have. Now we are ready to work with the second strand. This is a little frayed, so I'm going to trim it. I think what I'm going to do is take a minute here off camera and separate some of these beads from the head pins that are through them, just to free them up. I can do that off camera, so I'll be right back. Keep in mind that you can use a variety of beads, and in this case, I saw potential in the beads that had eye pins in them, double eye pins, and just taking them apart so I can string them. So whether they're loose beads or have wire in them, if it's the right bead, it's worth taking apart. I freed up some of these beads to use for the inner strand. So it's the same thing, same idea. We're going to work with these little crimp beads. Set aside here the lobster clasp, clam shells, and my jump ring. And just get a few of these out. Let's bring the ends of the first strand together. Put a clip on it. Let all the beads drop down so we can see what we're working with. Bring these ends together. And let's put a clip right here so I can start working one side. Just going to add a crimp bead, and I'm going to try to pick up some beads that I don't have on the right side. And I also pulled out some crystals. I don't know if you could see those little crystal rondelles, but I'm going to try to pick out some beads that are a little bit different. So that said, like I don't have this one on the right side, so I'm going to pick this up. Kind of working with the larger beads near the bottom and then the smaller beads as we go up. And I'm going to keep in mind just a little bit the placement of these, although they can go pretty much anywhere. I'm just going to stop right there. Again, it's pretty random. Pick up another crimp bead because the crimp bead is always at the bottom. I guess I have pretty much all these beads over here, so I'm going to work in one of these crystals after all, even though it's a little bit smaller. Just going to think about the placement kind of falling. So I am putting a little more thought into the placement of the inner strand. I have no idea what this is going to look like, other than I hope it looks really pretty because the beads are pretty. Let's go with this one.
Golden summer jewelry, sunshine shimmery and bright. Mix your golden beads and dangles to your heart's delight. Smooth or textured, vintage or new, any gold tone bead will do. Open up your treasure stash, find the sparkle in a flash. Every little bead you choose adds a golden point of view.
All right, I think I've got one side done. I'm going to bring the two ends together. I'm going to bring all four ends together. Just take a look at this. This is what we have so far. This would even be pretty as a 3-strand. But when it's done, I'm going to try it on first as a 2-strand, and we can always add another strand. All right, we are ready to start. This is my center point. Just bringing this down. Because I have both strands through here, at some point I will need to trim up the outer strand. I wasn't sure how long to make it when I first started, so that can be adjusted. So right now I'm focusing on the center strand, making sure that this is the center, and then I'm just clipping it right here so that I can build the center strand on this side. Same process, just picking up a crimp bead and adding a gold bead to float on top of it.
Open up your treasure stash, find the sparkle in a flash. Every little bead you choose adds a golden point of view. Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright. Wear your handmade dreams tonight. Find the gold hidden in your stash. Wearing gold is like wearing cash. Every shimmer, every gleam turns your jewelry into a dream. Shiny and bright, golden glimmer dancing in the light.
If you need any of the clips that I'm using in this video or tools, I'll put up in the corner here my QR code for my Amazon affiliate store. So if you need anything, check it out. The only beads that are at risk for falling off are the top beads. Let's bring the center together. Again, it's hard to show you because it's laying flat. So it's hard to keep the beads pushed down because every time I move it, they slide up. But this is what we have so far. I think I'm going to go and hold it up to myself and see if it's enough beads or if we should keep going further around the neckline. So I'll be right back. I took a minute and held it up to myself, and I think I have enough beads on here. Now we just need to finish it. And this is where I wish I had that little extra wire, you know, both wires being 22 inches, but hey, we'll make it work. I cut a longer wire for the outer strand, but I should have cut it a little bit longer for the inner strand. The inner strand happens to have the crystals. Just clipping the inner strands together for now. And this is the outer strand. I want this to be a little bit looser than the inner strand so that it can, lay on the outside. You can see I have about an inch more. Let's take one of the clamshells and a crimp bead. The clamshell has a hole in the back. You've seen me work with these plenty of times. And let's take the inner strand and the outer strand and feed these through the hole, the bottom hole of the clamshell. Put both wires through the crimp bead, and let's let this drop down just to bring those together. I'm just going to clip it for now. Let's do the same thing with the other side. Bring both wires together, keeping the outside strand outside and the inside strand inside as much as possible. Try not to cross over. Put these through the back of the clamshell. You can open it up just a little bit. Both wires through the bottom hole of the clamshell. And then the crimp bead, both wires through the crimp bead. Let that drop down a little bit. And what we want to do now is to focus on the inner strand a little bit. Bring those together. straighten that out. Just going to clip that temporarily. Bring the outer strands together and let everything drop down and clip them. Inner strands are clipped together. The outer strands are clipped together. We know that this bead is our center bead. I have the inside of the center floating bead at 9. Inner strand, the shorter strand, just a little bit. The outer strand I'm leaving a little bit looser so that it will float on the outside, and then slide the clamshell and the crimp bead all the way to the end of my ruler to 0 so that I have an 18-inch necklace. Again, I'm going to add an extension chain. So now I'm going to let the clamshell drop down, and I'm going to, right where I ended this, I'm going to flatten the crimp bead. Not going to trim anything off yet, but I'm going to slide this up. So based upon how I cut the wire originally, I'm just making the ends of the longest wire the same and the shortest wire the same, and bringing the crimp bead up to match the first one that I made, the first one that I crimped, and then just checking this one more time just to see if everything's laying the way that I want it to. I want the shorter wire to be to the inside of my crimp bead, and it is. Okay, I've got the ends evened up. I've got my shorter wire to the inside. I've checked it a few times, hoping everything falls the way I want it to. And then I'm going to crimp this, flatten it. I'm going to go hold this up to myself before I completely finish this and make sure it's laying right, because I still have a chance to open up that clamshell. So I'll be right back. It looks good to me. I'm ready to trim off the excess wire here. Again, going to add an extension chain, but we need to commit and cut past on the outside of the crimp bead. Trim that off, bring this up, and keeping in mind how I want my wire to lay, I'm going to position my clamshell. I have a small jump ring to add the lobster clasp. Just going to put this jump ring through the clamshell. Little rings at the top. Make sure you get through both of them. Add whatever clasp you like. I did check this. The lobster clasp works fine. Close this up. And then over here on the other one, let's open that clamshell up a little bit. Here, let's trim the ends close to the crimp bead. Again, let this lay the way it's going to lay, and then just turn the clamshell and close it up. I'm going to use a slightly larger jump ring, going through both loops on the clamshell. I'll take just a second here and find an extension chain. I have some oval link chain here. Sometimes I add 3 inches, but this time I'm going to add 2.5, and I just happen to have this small piece. Add it to the jump ring, close it up. I'm actually glad that I have something that designates the inner layer, which is these little crystals, because it made it a lot easier when I'm working with it. But here's our floating necklace. Just going to push all the beads down. I will try this on, and I'll put it on a necklace display too. If I did anything different for this, I would probably have put some beads closer to this floating bead, the first large floating bead. I would have put some of these a little bit closer. Maybe some smaller beads there. So that's what we have. I think we need to make a pair of earrings to go with this necklace. What we're going to use, well, that remains to be seen. Between these and these, surely I can find something. I have these textured beads. I have these gold beads. And I even have a few more of those crystals. Let's see what we can come up with here. I have 2-inch gold head pins. I'm not sure if the hole is too large on this, if this is going to go through. That is not secure, but let's see. I could put a small gold bead at the bottom, and then this metallic. We have this. This actually has a little bit of chain to it, but I have no chain in this. Let's take a few of these crystals off of here and see how we can work these in. If it didn't have the loop at the top and the bottom, I would just use them as they are, but let's set this aside. Let's take a head pin, remove the head of the head pin, make a loop, pull it back, press the wire down, close it up. We've got a little eye pin. It's a little wavy today. Not sure why. Didn't do my best, I guess. make a loop, and put the round nose pliers back in, push the wire down, close it up, straighten it up. All right, we have 2. Let's add the largest gold metallic bead. It's hollow, by the way. This is going to be our stopper here. And then let's add this gold bead. What I'm thinking is dangling the crystal from it. That's what I'm thinking. But I do want a daisy spacer or 2. A couple of daisy spacers in between these. I like that.
Golden glimmer dancing in the light. Upcycle your beads, random will do. Add a few dangles or 2. Let your creativity shine so free. Every design tells your story. Golden jewelry made by you, one of a kind from start to through. Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright. Wear your handmade dreams tonight.
If you're enjoying this video, I appreciate a like, a thumbs up. And after you watch the video and you comment, I invite you to comment for your favorite necklace set number 1 or set number 2. And if you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do that too. And if you get a chance to hype, please hype the video. It helps a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for that. Now we need a couple more head pins because I want to make these little crystals. Head pins good. It's not going to go through. And because it's hard to bend the wire when it's this short, let's allow, a little more than 3/8. Because last time I know I cut it too short. Last time I did this. So we are at 1, 2, I don't know, it's about 3/8. Maybe I just cut it too short last time. But this time I'm going a little closer to the tip of my round nose pliers, getting a good grip. And then I'm just going to roll a loop. One that I can close up all the way. Same thing here. Allow a good 3/8. But I'm getting closer to the tip here. Very close. And got a good grip on everything. And then I made my loop. So let's take and use I use my chain nose. Let's open up the loop sideways. Let's attach these to the ear wires. Open up the loop on the ear wires sideways. And putting the smaller bead at the top. Push that spring down. I had to push it up to open up my loop. Okay, now let's open up the loop at the bottom sideways and attach our little, I think I could straighten these up a little better. Leaning forward a little bit. Try to roll them back, but at the same time they need to be closed really well. Rolling it backwards, but have to close it up at the same time. Attach one of our little crystals. The beads drop down so you can slip this in and close it up. Again, this is where my chain nose pliers come in handy compared to just my flat nose. Close that up, give it a pinch. And we didn't use those after all. And now we have some earrings to go with our golden summer floating necklace and earrings. Necklace number 1 with a pair of earrings is done. At the end of the video, I'll show you some photos, and then I'll display the jewelry on my large display, and then I'll try it on. But we have another necklace to make. Necklace and a pair of earrings. Can we pull it off? We'll see. Let's start out with just a few beads and make a single strand floating necklace. I have 49 strand wire in satin gold, and we're going to start with, let's zoom out a little bit here. It's going to be about an 18-inch necklace. So I'm going to start with about 22 inches. So 12 and 10 would give me 22. Might be a little more than what I need. I have random beads. I have tiny little 1.3 millimeter crimp beads. And before we're done here, I'll need to get a clasp. But let's go ahead and start with, hoping we can start with this little component. These are all pieces and parts from other necklaces that I've worked with. I just need to close this up a little more. Let's slip this in the center. This can be our focal point. We're going to do a gold and pearl. And many of these can dangle. Some will just stay stationary. I think I'll bring in some of my other beads, my other gold beads. And let those drop down on each side of the pendant. I'm going to try to straighten this up here. It wants to spin. That's just the way it is. Let's drop these little beads down on each side. And then I'm going to attempt to do random. And you know random for me can be hit and miss. But let's just see about adding some pearls. Well, I guess that's not random now, is it? I'll at least have something start out about the same. We'll do the same size pearl on either side. And then I'm just going to see what else I can work in. Some of these are dangles, some are not. I'm going to remove this jump ring so I can just dangle this bead. This one though, I'll put on, well, I'll tell you what, let's thread on here what we can, dangle what we can. Again, I'm going to remove the jump ring. I'm going directly to the loop on the bead itself. Just making sure this is closed as much as possible. Oops, I meant to put that on the other side. So what we have, almost like little charm dangles. And then let's just add in a round bead, gold plated. These are actually gold plated. And then let's see, what else do we have? We have some pearl dangles here that have the loops already. I have this little pine cone looking thing. Let's add another gold bead. And I'm going to take the jump ring off of here. You can use a jump ring if you want, but I'm just going to try this without it. And then let's see about gold bead. Remember, I'm trying to do random. This is a little larger, but let's see here. I think I want to break this up a little bit with the gold and then the pearl and then a gold bead, round gold bead. And then I think I'll finish off with these small pearls. I think we've got it. I think we have enough on here. I think it helps to have the beads be two-sided. It doesn't matter on the pendant which way it falls. Let's finish off with one more round bead on each side. Bring the ends of our wire together. Let these drop down. And then take a little crimp bead, 2 crimp beads, one for each side. This is like a 10-minute necklace. Just letting those drop down. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to crimp the crimp bead on each side up against the beads. And here we go. We've got our necklace. I could have made it a little bit looser. I could have had it a little more free on here. I think I crimped it a little too tight, a little too snug. Well, we can fix that. Using my flat nose, I can push it the opposite direction and can remove that. So I have all these beads on here, but this is what happens. As soon as you pick it up, everything falls together. And even though it's kind of cute, it's not quite what I was going for. So I'm going to see how I can work in some of these crimp beads, 1.3 millimeter crimp beads, to keep these separated slightly. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these back off of here, try to remember how I had them on here, and put some crimp beads in between to separate them. Let's see how that works, because I've never done this before. Can I put these in the order, though, that I want them? I had to walk away from the project, so it's the next day where I'm going to pick up on it again, and I'm looking at it with fresh eyes. If you ever struggle with something you're making, sometimes just walk away. Walk away and come back to it, and maybe you'll just see it in a different light. That's what I hope I'm going to see this next day, is some new light, because, yeah, I need a little help with this one. I think I'll use a bead mat. I'm hoping I can put these back the way they were. I think I'll be able to.
Golden summer jewelry, sunshine shimmery and bright.
And I did not have gold beads separating all of those. Let's start with the center little pendant drop, because that absolutely needs to be centered up. See if I can move this up a little bit, up and over. Well, I could go ahead and drop these beads down, but I wanted one on either side. Okay, that's what we have. Let's go ahead. Let's put a crimp bead on either side of this to make sure it doesn't move. And hope the crimp beads don't fall into the little round bead. I'm going to use my chain nose pliers because they're small and tapered. I'm just going to push these down, flatten it. Okay, so now this is not going to move around. It's going to stay in place. So from there, let's see what we can do. First of all, I can see from the loop on this pearl that the crimp bead would go right through there. So I'm almost going to have to use some more of these beads. I might have to hunt up some more. Add a crimp bead and then the round bead. Let this drop down. I need more room. I have to move all of this back. So if I want this to float a little bit, meaning not be right up against here. We can use the crimp bead to keep this a short distance away. Don't want to go too far. I'm going to place the crimp bead about 1/4 of an inch away from the last one. Another crimp bead. And I'm going to do the same thing here, about the same distance. Not going to measure it, I'm just going to kind of do my best with it. And then drop down a round bead and the pearl on the other side. Let's take a look at what we have. You see here it's just going to kind of float here. It's not going to go all the way up to it. Let's add another crimp bead. And this time I think I'll add this round crackle bead. And again, I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch. Keep this bead floating. You know, the first time of everything is an experiment. You've heard me say that before. And that's what I'm doing. I don't know. I have this extra one here. I'm not sure where that fits in yet, but place it about 1/4 of an inch from the last flattened crimp bead so that it's a bead stopper for here. That's what we have so far. Let's add another crimp bead. And I think I'm going to change these out a little bit. I think I'll add a gold bead this time, and then the teardrop pearl, getting a hold of the crimp bead, bringing it down. Since it's going to pretty much butt up against the last bead, I'm not even going to use the crimp bead here. I'll just use the round gold bead. And over here, the round gold bead, and then this teardrop, because it was just going to butt up pretty close to it anyway. Now I'm going to add a crimp bead. I know that I have to add a round bead before the beads that have a loop at the top. 1/4 of an inch, the last bead. What we're doing here is just going to give it a very unique look. At least that's what I'm going for. Crimp bead, gold bead. Let these drop down wherever they may, but the crimp bead I'm going to allow about 1/4 of an inch. And then adding a gold bead and this pearl. This is what we have so far. I don't think we'll know until we're done how it's really going to look. I've got a crimp bead, a gold bead, and then the pearl with the bead cap. And I'm going to just, again, put this about 1/4 of an inch away. You can put it as far or as close as you'd like. Just 1/4 inch is what I came up with. And on this side, pick up a crimp bead. What do we want to put over here? We have this over there, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Round gold bead, the pearl. Beads are pushed down, flattening the little crimp bead about 1/4 inch apart. And I don't think I need this one because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't need this one. Let's finish up with these small ones.
Mix your golden beads and dangles to your heart's delight. Smooth or textured, vintage or new, any gold tone bead will do. Open up your treasure stash, find the sparkle in a flash. Every little bead you choose adds a golden point of view. Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright.
I think we've got it. Beads, beads everywhere bead. Most of them are dangle beads. We could put one more gold bead here. If we don't want this to slide up, you know, these little pearls will slide up if we don't want that to happen. Let's see how I did on my centering. Almost ready to look. I think I did pretty good. I think so. Let me get a couple more gold beads to finish this off so that these don't slide. I don't think I had my camera on. I had to walk away for a minute. I'm not sure where I left off. Finish with a gold bead and crimp bead at the top so that these little ones don't go sliding up. So we could finish this off with little beads if we wanted to, or we can just use the softness of the wire for a lightweight summer necklace. We could put bugle beads on here if we wanted to, or leave it just like it is. The fine gold wire will practically disappear around the neck and it will just look like these beads are floating. Let's see where we are for an 18-inch necklace. Put this at 9. This is what we have left. We need to add a clasp, but we do have one more decision we could make in finishing this necklace, and that is, should we leave the wire around the neckline bare, just the gold wire? I mean, it is pretty. It's pretty as it is, and it's very lightweight. Or should we add some beads to the wire? We could use bugle beads or seed beads, tube beads, if you will. That's what I need to decide. Do I want to leave the wire bare or cover it up around the neck? What do you think I did? Any ideas? And did I change my mind along the way? You know how I can be. Well, at least my husband Mark knows how I can be. He's upstairs. I have some gold seed beads, and so I think I will finish this necklace off with some gold seed beads before I add the clasp. I've already added a few, and I think it's going to look really nice. And I have found that it really does help to use a beading mat when you're trying to pick up these seed beads. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to fast forward through this part, and then I'll walk you through adding the clasp.
Wear your handmade dreams tonight. Find the gold hidden in your stash. Wearing gold is like wearing cash. Every shimmer, every gleam turns your jewelry into a dream. Shiny and bright, golden glimmer dancing in the light. Upcycle your beads, random will do. Add a few dangles or two.
I'm going to stop here and pick up on the other side. This is what it looks like so far. And I did have other gold beads I probably could have used that would have looked nice. And these are on one long necklace. I'm debating now. Maybe I'll just do one side with one seed bead and one with the other and see which one we like best. How's that? In fact, I'll do that off camera just to save a little time. And I'll show you and then make a decision as to which color I like best. I don't know if you can tell the difference on camera. It's very subtle, but I will say that I like this one better. These are opaque versus translucent, so I'm actually glad I went ahead and took a strand off this necklace because I'm liking this a lot better. And of course, if you don't want to do the floating beads, you could just make this necklace and insert little seed beads in between. Although I do think that all of the ones that have a little loop would slide down over the seed beads. I'm going to go ahead and redo this side to match these seed beads, and then I'll be right back to add the clasp.
Let your creativity shine so free. Every design tells your story. Golden jewelry made by you, one of a kind from start to through.
Let's see where we are. I'm going for 18 inches. You can always add an extension chain. This is at 9, and I need a 1/2 inch probably for the clasp. So I'm going to just remove a few beads here on each side. Maybe a couple more to allow for the clasp. I think that's pretty good. Because I don't think I can take this wire back through the seed beads after adding my clasp, I'm going to add a small round bead. Okay, let me get a lobster clasp and a jump ring, and I'll be right back. Let's add the clasp. Since this is pretty much reversible, it doesn't matter what side I put anything on. I'm going to pick up a crimp bead like we've been using here. I'm going to go through the loop on the lobster clasp and back through the crimp bead, and I do need to let this drop down as far as it will go. Can I get that wire through the seed bead? Probably not. Just going to take it through the crimp bead and tighten that up, allowing a little bit of room for flexibility here. I'm just going to have to cut this off since I really can't run it through any beads. Just going to flatten that. I don't have any gold closed jump rings, so I would have added one of those before the lobster clasp. That's a possibility. But this time I just wired it in. Let's take the other side. I'm going through the crimp bead only, not the seed beads. Just make sure we don't have this too tight. And yet I can't really change anything here because those have all the crimp beads keeping them in place. Just going to turn the cut away from where I'm pulling that down and going to give a little bit of room for flex. I want to clip this as close as I can. After I attached the clasp, I realized that I didn't have to wire directly into my lobster clasp. No, I don't know why I didn't, but I would recommend you just go ahead and add a clamshell and a jump ring. If you have some clamshells, because you see me use clamshells all the time, but for whatever reason, I just didn't think about it. I did have some interruptions with making this second necklace. I guess that's my only excuse. But yeah, I wasn't thinking everything through, and if I were to do this again, I would have added a clamshell and then my lobster clasp and then my jump ring. That's what I would have done. Hey. Sometimes I have blay moments. If you don't know what a blay moment is, blay, B-L-A-Y, it's part blonde, part gray. Yeah, That's what I am these days. Part gray, part blonde. But here we go. We have our necklace done, other than adding a little bit of extension chain. And this is what we have. So I'm going to find some extension chain, and we're going to see about making a quick pair of earrings to go with it. So keep watching. For the extension chain, I have a little bit of curb chain. We're going to take 3 inches of it. Always make sure that your clasp will go through it. It's pretty important. It's actually a little small. So after all that, well, the takeaway is check it before you put it on. How's that? I thought for sure it was going to work, but it didn't, so I'll get some other chain. I have this oval link chain. Let's double check it this time. It will at least go through the oval link, so let's measure out 3 inches. You know, I could have easily taken that out of the video, but I want you to see that sometimes, no matter how long you've been making jewelry, sometimes you don't get it right. So I leave those things in so that you can give yourself a break. How's that? I didn't have the right chain. But this will work. And do we have any little doodad we can add to the end of the chain? I'm going to look through here and see if there's anything that's ready to go. Oh, look, I have a little pearl here. I have a little pearl attached to this. So let's take that and add it to this. There, we have a tiny pearl, like those tiny pearls. Now, as far as earrings, what can we do? I'll take a look and see what I can come up with. To my surprise, I don't have much to work with. I have 2 of these, but not much else. Yeah, I just don't have anything else. You know, these are the earrings from the first necklace, and it most certainly could be worn with this, but I'm lacking beads to use for this. I'm going to go ahead and take these off of the head pin, free those up. I was hoping to just connect them to another pearl, but all the pearls that I have in my own stash are very white, and these are slightly off-white. So, by the way, this pearl has a slight imperfection in it. It's got a little divot in it. That's just the way it was. Let's see if this will go on here without the head pin going through. I'm going to put a small round bead on the bottom just to make sure that doesn't slip off of this head pin. That's what I have so far. And then I'm going to see if I can do something. I bagged up the seed beads that I had used here, ones that were loose. I don't know if this idea is going to work or not because, well, they're seed beads. Let's see if they will fit on this head pin. Few anyway. As few or as many as you'd like to use. I think I'm going to take a few off of here. I think those pretty well match. Let's get some ear wires and maybe 2 more of these little round beads to put one at the top. Pushing the beads down, bending at a right angle, trim it down to about 3/8 of an inch. Wires flush, get a good grip, pull towards but roll back, turn it around facing you, and close it up. Push the beads down, bend at a right angle, same thing, 3/8 of an inch. Wires flush with the round nose pliers, get a good grip, kind of pull towards but roll back, turn it around facing you, close it up. Here's our ear wires. Just going to open up the loop sideways, attach the earring, close it up, give it a pinch, open up sideways the loop, attach the earring, close it up. Here's our necklace, our lightweight golden summer necklace, and the earrings. It's the best I could come up with, you know, working with the seed beads and a couple of these. Let's take a look at everything we made today, and then I'll pop back in, show the necklaces on a display, and then I'll try it on. And I don't know if you noticed, and it's probably been crooked the whole time, this is one of the necklaces I made quite some time ago with some little gold beads and fine chain. Very, very simple design, but I think it looks like real gold, but it's not. Okay, let's take a look.
Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright, wear your handmade dreams tonight. Make a necklace for a summer day, catch the sunshine all the way, wear your one-of-a-kind necklace into the night, glowing with the golden light. Lay your chains or keep it sweet, simple style can't be beat. Every clasp and every bead creates a look that's guaranteed.
Here's our first necklace without the extension chain, meaning it's not full extension, but here it is. And I hope you see what I was talking about the floating beads, how it looks like it's just floating because the wire pretty much disappears, and then the earrings. To vote, this is set number 1. So give me a second here and I'll try it on. Because I'm selling this set, I'm not trying on the earrings. I just have my other ones on. But here is set number 1. Hope it's focusing. What do you think? But what's going to be your favorite? Set number 1 or set number 2? And here's necklace set number 2. I don't have the extension, so it's an 18-inch necklace plus the 3-inch extension. And the earrings, well, you know, I had to be creative with the earrings. So set number 2. Let me take a second here and try it on. Here's set number 2. Again, I'm not using the extension part, so it's about 18 inches, and here's the earrings. And I will be listing each of these sets in our new store, if you don't know, AvanteJewelry.com. Check it out. We have some of Mark's chainmail jewelry on there. And I'll be adding these 2 sets. Not sure how I'm pricing them yet, but check it out. And I also wanted to remind you that I have a Facebook page for Avante Jewelry and a Facebook page for Vintage Vickie. Of course, I have Vintage Vickie on YouTube as well, Vickie. Come follow me on Facebook and check out Vintage Vickie. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I appreciate that thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching. I'm Vickie, and I'll see you in the next video.
Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright. Wear your handmade dreams tonight. It could be a bracelet if that's your pick. Whatever you make will be a big hit. Shiny and bright, golden glimmer dancing in the light. From vintage finds to treasures new, every sparkling bead is waiting for you. Golden jewelry sparkling true, the brightest treasure is the one made by you. Every bead and every gleam, golden jewelry, live your dream. Golden summer jewelry, sunshine bright, wear your handmade dreams tonight.